This week of Pokemon Go is actually pretty massive, and you do not want to miss out on any of it. It's going to be one of the most important weeks of this year so far, and I'm going to be talking about all of that in this video. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope you're experiencing one of the best days so far, and let's get right into it. Alright, so this week is going to be a super important week for pretty much every single Pokemon Go player, and the reason for that is because we're going to be getting a Team Go Rocket Takeover event. And this is going to be in conjunction with the Fashion Week event, which is currently ongoing, and you do not want to miss out on this one because there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff related to Shadow Pokemon, which are the most powerful Pokemon you can have in your collection. And I really do think that for what it's worth, this is going to be a key week for the upcoming content, which we're going to be getting later on down the road. So let's start this off by talking about all of the details for this Team Go Rocket event. Alright, first let's talk about this Team Go Rocket Takeover event, because it's going to be featuring a lot of really cool stuff that you will want to pay attention to. This is going to be happening on Wednesday, January 15th, which ironically is actually my birthday, and it's going to go until Sunday, January 19th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time. You're going to see the following Pokemon make its debut. It's going to be the Toxic Mouse Pokemon Shroodle and its evolved form Graphite. I do not know how to pronounce that name. It's going to be available from 12km eggs, and I do think that's going to be something that will probably irk players the wrong way considering how difficult it is to hatch these eggs, but I still think this is a pretty nice addition. It's going to be something that will be in the game starting this event, so it's not something that's going to be time limited. As long as you're constantly hatching 12km eggs, you will eventually get this Pokemon. Now, during this event, we're going to see the following event bonuses. You're going to see a lot more Team Go Rocket battles appearing in Pokestops, and you're also going to see an increased frequency of Team Go Rocket balloons. You're also going to be able to use Charge TMs on your Shadow Pokemon to forget the Charge Attack Frustration. That is probably one of the most important bonuses when it comes to these Team Go Rocket Takeover events. And then since this is coinciding with the Fashion Week event, you're going to see Krogunk wearing a Fashion Week costume when you take snapshots during this event. So if that is a Pokemon that you are missing, just make sure you're taking snapshots throughout this event and you're going to be able to encounter them in the wild. Now here is the major highlight for this event. We're going to see the debut of Shadow Palkia, and that is definitely going to be a very powerful Shadow Legendary Pokemon. It's going to be through Super Rocket Radars, which is going to require you to defeat Giovanni, but if you do, you're going to be able to get yourself a Shadow Palkia. And just so you know, this is going to be for free through a special research, and it's going to be available starting with this event, but it's only going to go until March 4th, which is going to be the end of the Dual Destiny season. After which, I do believe they're going to switch up the legendary Pokemon that you can get from Super Rocket Radars, so that is something you should keep in mind. It likely will be Shadow Dialga, so if that is a Shadow legendary Pokemon that you are more interested in, then I would save your Super Rocket Radar for when that Pokemon eventually comes. Now, when it comes to Team Go Rocket Grunts, as well as the leaders Sierra, Cliff, and Arlo, we're going to see a new set of Shadow Pokemon that we can encounter. Shadow Tailo, Shadow Snivy, Shadow Tepig, Shadow Oshawott, Shadow Trubbish, and Shadow Bunnelby will be from Team Go Rocket Grunts as well as Team Go Rocket Leader Battles. Now, when it comes to Shadow Raids, we're going to see the following Pokemon as encounters. In 1-star Shadow Raids, you're going to be able to encounter Shadow Nidoran Female as well as Shadow Nidoran Male, and Shadow Totodile and Shadow Routes will also be potential encounters. Now, in 3-star Shadow Raids, you're going to encounter Shadow Electabuzz, Shadow Magmar, as well as Shadow Wobbuffet. And then in field research tasks, you're going to be able to get mysterious components, charge TMs, and fast TMs. There's also going to be collection challenges related to these event Pokemon, and then there's going to be Pokestop showcases as well as an event bundle in the Pokeshop. So there's a lot to look forward to with this Team Go Rocket Takeover event. You should definitely not skip out on it because there's some really good content that Niantic is going to be debuting. Now, in conjunction with this Team Go Rocket Takeover event, we're actually going to be getting a raid day featuring a Shadow Legendary Pokemon this weekend. And this is one that personally I would not miss out on, even though for a lot of players, they might think that this particular Shadow Legendary is not that good, but I disagree for a lot of different reasons. Let's quickly go over all the details for this Shadow Raid Day, and then I'll briefly talk about why you should not miss out on it. On Sunday, January 19th from 2 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. local time, we're going to be getting a raid day featuring Shadow Ho-Oh. Now, this is essentially going to be the end of the Team Go Rocket Takeover event, but I'm really looking forward to this because Shadow Ho-Oh definitely has a lot of gameplay potential. Now, during this event, you're going to get the following event bonuses. You're going to get up to 5 additional free raid passes when you spin gym photo discs, and you're going to have an increased chance at encountering shiny Ho-Oh from Shadow raids. Now, if you get a Shadow Ho-Oh, you could use a Charge TM on it, and you're going to be able to get the Charge Attack Sacred Fire, which is definitely its most powerful move. I really do think this is going to be an underrated event because on top of being able to get Shadow Ho-Oh, you're also going to be able to get Sacred Fire and an increased shiny chance. That's something you should definitely take advantage of because it's not often that we see this Shadow Legendary make its return to Pokemon Go, and it's definitely a powerful one. And just like every other raid day, you're going to be able to purchase a paid ticket, which is going to give you additional bonuses as well as additional passes. And when it comes to these raid days, if you're someone who is willing to spend money, these tickets are usually pretty worth it because the amount of raid passes that you get are going to be substantially higher than what you would typically spend, as well as the bonuses that they include with it are usually pretty good. Alright, so yeah, Shadow Ho-Oh is going to be getting a raid day this coming weekend, and in my opinion, this is one you should not miss out on. And the reason I say that is because Shadow Ho-Oh is going to have its signature move, Sacred Fire, when you catch it. I think that's a very key bit of information because that move definitely makes this Pokemon incredibly good. And then on top of that, this is also a great opportunity for you to farm up candies and candy XLs for Ho-Oh, and then collecting a bunch of rare candy XLs as well. Unfortunately, because these are Shadow raids and they're also Shadow Legendary raids, you're going to need a lot of players and they're going to be in person only. I really wish that for this particular raid day, Niantic would take off the restriction of them being in person only, mainly because it's going to allow more players to actually get these done. But yeah, now let's talk about all the other stuff that's going to be happening this week, starting off with this week's Max Monday. Alrighty, this week's Max Monday, which is actually happening tonight from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. local time, is going to be featuring Dynamax Squirtle. And Dynamax Blastoise is actually pretty good for a lot of Dynamax content, so you do not want to miss out on this one if you actually engage with max battles. Next up, let's talk about what this week's Spotlight Hour is going to be. This is going to be happening tomorrow from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. local time, and it's going to be featuring the Pokemon Roselia with a 2x experience for catching Pokemon bonus. And I actually think that for all players who are looking to level up their trainers, that this is actually a pretty good Spotlight Hour because Roselia is actually a pretty decent Pokemon to catch, and then of course you do end up getting yourself a ton of experience. Next, let's talk about raid battles. So we're going to be getting Palkia in 5-star raids up until January 16th, at which point we're going to see it switch over to Deoxys attack form and Deoxys defense form. Now between these two forms, Deoxys defense form is actually going to give you a lot more value because it's going to be a really good Pokemon for PvP. And then when it comes to Mega Raids, we're going to have Mega Lopunny until January 16, and then at that point we're going to switch over to Mega Gallade, which was recently just introduced. And then this weekend's Shadow Legendary Raids, aside from the Shadow Raid Day, is going to be featuring Registeel as the Legendary Shadow Pokemon. It's actually a pretty decent Shadow Legendary, and if you do not have a good one yet, I do suggest you go after it. It's a pretty decent Pokemon for PvP, especially for those who are lacking in really good Steel types. And then finally, let's switch gears and talk about the Go Battle League. So up until January 14th, which is tomorrow, we're going to have the Open Ultra League along with the Color Cup Great League Edition, and then afterwards until the end of the week we're going to have the Open Master League along with the Color Cup Great League Edition continuing onward. And there's going to be a 4x Stardust bonus for every reward, so that's something you should not ignore. Alright, and there you have it. This is everything that's coming to Pokemon Go this week, and let me emphasize, this week's Team Go Rocket Takeover event is going to be extremely important. You do not want to miss out on that bonus of removing frustration off of your Shadow Pokemon using regular Charge TMs. That's one of the most important bonuses, and it's one that does not often come to Pokemon Go. It's definitely going to allow you to unlock the full potential of your Shadow Pokemon, especially when it comes to raid battles and PvP. Some of them are considered top tier. And yeah, with that said, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Is there anything in particular this week that you are looking forward to? I would like to hear what that is. Make sure you share it in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you found it to be informative. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, make sure you go and check out my Patreon, because if you become a paid Patreon member, you will get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So just like all the names that you see on the bottom of your screen, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to catch up with everything going on in my daily life. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.